Wow. The time is coming. You know why I'm here? I'm here for a very important event, not only for AC Variety, but also for Will County in general. We're here in Monee, Illinois, where in a few minutes we're going to be having the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Historical Society. So sit back, relax, grab a drink if you desire, and let's see what things we learn about as you're hanging with Clem at the ribbon cutting for Monee Historical Society.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the opening of the Monee Heritage Center. I'm David Holston, ex-president of the Monee Save the Creamery Foundation, and I'm here to start us off with the official grand opening of the process by cutting a ribbon. We're glad to have Mayor Therese Bogues here, as well as my wife, the president of the Monee Historical Society, Christie Holston. We'll start with the mayor.
Thank you. It is with great excitement that I present the certificate of dedication to the Monee Historical Society for the Monee Heritage Center. The dogged determination, the tireless volunteer hours, and the vision of Christie and members of the Monee Historical Society has brought to fruition a lasting legacy for our village. I encourage everyone to enjoy and support the Monee Heritage Center. Very welcome, very welcome. Thank you, girl. I get to do a shake. Okay. Here, you hold that. Got the scissors back here. All right.
Thank you, Mayor Bogues. In 2011, the Monee Creamery building was exactly 2 weeks away from the wrecking ball, and an important piece of the history of Monee would have been lost forever. The structure, which has been at the center of Monee community life for over a century, had been neglected for decades and was slated for demolition. A group of concerned citizens banded together to raise awareness of the demolition plans and raise the funds to save and restore the building. In 2016, the building gained Will County landmark status. Thank you, Sandy. And the Save the Creamery Foundation evolved into the Monee Historical Society. From the beginning, the Monee Historical Society envisioned the creamery as a place to store, study, archive, and share the historic papers, memorabilia, documents, and artifacts of the town's history. A place where the community could gather to share in this rich heritage, a place for genealogical research, and to showcase the new history that is being made in the community every day. As we remember those who lost their lives on 9/11 20 years ago today, we reflect on how sharing the lessons and stories of the past can bring depth of meaning and a balanced perspective to the present and future. At this time of celebration, we want to thank the Monee village officials, both past and present, for seeing the value in what we are trying to achieve and for supporting that vision and making this day possible. We want to thank the township officials who are here with us today and the village officials, trustees, both past and present, for their tireless support. We want to thank especially the people of Monee for their support and for sharing this mission. I also want to thank members of the Monee Historical Society, which are all gathered here today as well, for their deep commitment and ceaseless efforts to bring us to this day. Thank you. Mary Brockmiller is now going to say a few words. Mary has been at my right side and Margaret Horn at my left through this whole process.
Thank you, Christie, but this is about Christie. As always, she puts herself last. But I just want to say on behalf of the Historical Society, there are 3 words to describe Christie. One is she's dedicated beyond measure, passionate about what she does, and I think for those of you who work with her on other projects besides the creamery, you see that in everything she does. And last but not least, throughout the ups and downs, she has a sense of joy, sense of fun and got us through the good times as well as the bad. And we couldn't have done it without that sense of fulfillment as to what we're trying to do. You know, the last couple of days I've been listening to Christie talk about what it's been like going through these last 10 years. And, you know, she says, gosh, we worked so hard. And every time we came upon a brick wall, we just tried to figure out how to get around it. Well, if you know Christie Holston, there's no brick wall that's going to stand in her place, stand in her path. So, Christie, on behalf of the Historical Society, thank you for bringing us this far. We can't wait to see what the future begins for us. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody so much. And oh, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Made me cry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to cut. Come, everybody put their hands on who can get in here. Does it actually work? It does. Yeah. Oh yeah, it works. There's a line where you go. Okay. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Monee Heritage Center. Thank you. Come on in. Yeah. Good job. Put your hand on. Put your hand on. We got a hand up here. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for supporting us. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
That's a good job. You guys did a good job.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
I'm fine. I'm vaccinated.
I was on the phone. I'm like, you need to. I don't care what you have to do.
So you were over there?
Yeah. I was parked over there. And then she was over there.
Thank you.
It looks a lot like that. Yeah, it does. And she's still working on it. Okay, we also have listings of some things we've got going. As you go from this area to the top floor. I think we're good. Thank you.
Can I? Thank you. This is going to be detailed. Hi, I heard you were the man to see with collectible tractors. My eyes immediately go to that Minneapolis Moline U-tractor. I have not seen one of those. I've only seen pictures of that.
Oh yeah?
How long have you had that particular piece?
That one I've only had about a year. I was lucky. I got that for.
That is gorgeous.
I think I paid $55 for that.
That's a steal for a collectible like that.
Well, but see,
Well, go ahead, tell me.
it's a current. Well, not the current, but it's not that popular.
Okay.
It's some items are like down here. That's the first John Deere that ever was built.
It's a steamer, right?
That's Fraley, and then these four are the next ones that came in succession.
Wow.
So I got 5 different ones there, but they all date back from to 1890 to 1920.
I just always appreciate everything.
Quick thing before we go any further, I didn't get your name, and the people at home, I'm sure, want to know. And your name?
Richard
sir?
Stunkel.
Richard. Oh, very familiar last name.
On top here, they got a play card up here behind me.
Okay. Yes, I see it now.
Yeah. So.
Okay. How long, if I can ask, have you been involved with collecting these beautiful
I first
pieces?
started 10 years ago. My wife died 13 years ago. And
Okay, I'm sorry.
my brother lived out in Iowa, and I went to visit him, and out there, that's more agriculture. And
Sure.
I went to a couple stores with him, and I got into it. And this is only, I'd say, 20% of my collection.
You know, I had heard someone, before I came walking up to you, Richard, I had heard someone say that, oh, that's just a sprinkling of what he's got. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've got to talk to him. this is a good sample, but what
Yeah.
sort of other things do you? Is it all farm implements for the most part?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I
see
at
a
home.
buckboard here, you know.
At
but-
home, I've got some. At home, I've got some trucks and cars too, and antique
Okay, very good.
replicas. But this is mostly all farm equipment.
Okay. And my last question, because I know other people probably want to talk to you, but are you asked fairly often to put a little show together like this?
Yeah.
Or?
No. Well, I've done this twice now.
Okay.
I mean, it's. I think if they want to get going, I can wait.
Okay.
I can wait and we can start in again if it works with her.
No, that's okay.
Yeah. This is. I enjoy it. I gave a lot of talks on the history of my history, so I've got them all on DVDs.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yes, because I also overheard you're very proficient on knowing the history of John Deere in this part of the country and farm wall equipment and Caterpillar, etc. You know, they're all Illinois or Iowa.
Well, I farmed all my life,
Okay.
so I know about
you know the deal.
agriculture.
Yeah.
But I don't keep up with the current stuff because too much tech stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, I'll make a quick point.
Yeah, go
You know,
on.
you spray
Sure.
the whole field and you get all the weeds. Well, that you waste a lot when there's no weeds there, but you're still spraying. John Deere came out with a sprayer that's got 32 cameras on it, and it only sprays when it sees a weed.
So it has the ability to recognize the weed and zero in.
Then
on
the nozzle starts, and as soon as it's passed, the nozzle stops.
Well, you're right about the technology. That would have been not even dreamable, back
I know.
in the day.
But I mean, and they've got driverless tractors now. I mean, you can bring the grain cart to the combine without having a driver in the cart. I mean,
That's
and I don't want no
unbelievable.
part of that.
No, I kind of like the personal thing of knowing everybody involved in your town and in your agricultural vicinity. But anyhow, thank you so much for stepping up and telling us a little bit about this. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and good luck in the future. Anytime you bring these beautiful collectibles out.
Well, I enjoy it. I'm 92 years old, so.
You don't even look near 92. What a coincidence! Just saying, folks. But anyhow, we're a little light levity here, but enjoying this restoration of this building. We're going to find out a little bit of the history of it, and because I think it has some dairy relation, right?
It does.
Okay, let's get some names first. You are?
I'm Christie Holston. I'm the president of the Monee Historical Society.
And a ma'am?
I'm Sandra Hurd. I'm the Monee Township Assessor.
Okay.
Happy to be here.
Everybody loves the assessor. You know that.
You're right.
And sir?
Bobby Lathan, Monee Township Clerk.
Okay, we're going to swing over to this side, and you are?
I'm Donna Detmeyer. I'm the Monee Township Supervisor.
And this gentleman right here.
I'm Billy Morgan. I'm a Monee Township trustee.
Okay, we just by coincidence assembled a great group of people here on this very special day of the dedication of this building. Now, outside a few minutes ago, I thought I heard you say on the PA, this building came close to the wrecking ball.
It was exactly 2 weeks away, and
Wow.
almost to the day, because we found out that it was slated to be demolished after Fall Fest
Wow.
in 2011.
Okay, what collectively, you guys can jump in, what did it take to bring us to this day today?
It's all Christie. Monee Township, we just made a donation to help them along.
Sure.
So she's the one that you need to answer all those questions about the creamery.
Okay. But we already heard there was some cheese made here as well. So
There was.
Yeah, can you give us for historical purposes, please
I
give us a
absolutely can.
history.
Absolutely. The building was built in, as close as we can figure out, 1870 or 73.
Wow.
There's not a lot of records of it, but it was an old creamery, an old cheese factory. There were 3 different dairies in town because everybody brought their milk to town. So you can see the original floor plan, the original footprint of the building is intact from those days. It carried on as a cheese factory and a center of that kind of activity until about the year 2000 or 1900.
Okay.
Then it was sold and it was used as a private family home from about 1900 to 1930. Then they sold it to another family who lived here till 1950. I actually talked to some of the kids that grew up here in that family.
Okay.
She said there was no heat upstairs. All their bedrooms were upstairs. There was a potbelly stove was the only heat source on this floor. It was a 5-acre parcel. They had chickens and cows and an orchard. Then in 1950, it was sold to the fire department. So for my entire lifetime growing up in Monee, I'm 5th generation or 6th generation now Monee people.
Excellent.
Yep. It's my hometown.
Okay.
And so during that whole time, the firemen had their carnival here, basically their fall fest. It was in the middle of the summer. It was the big fundraiser for the fire department.
Okay.
And this was always a backdrop. Nothing happened with it. Nobody got into it. They used it for storage. So really nobody knew anything about the inside of the building. It was just the outside that was very iconic because most of the old things in most towns have been torn down.
Yeah, with the stone construction.
It's Lockport limestone. It's very rare anymore that you have a building where the only creamery, I think, left in Will County, certainly in eastern Will County, that's made out of Lockport limestone. So we've had a couple of other historic buildings that were torn down. We had an old mill that was torn down at the early part of the century. Then there was an old schoolhouse that was torn down in the 80s. And there was a hue and cry because nobody knew it was going down. It was just leveled. There was no reason for it, but it happened. So when we found out that this was slated for demolition, it was in the village budget, it was all set to go, we mobilized for Iwo Jima. We really tried to jump into action quickly.
My hats off to you for that.
Thank you.
All you are, really.
Thank you so much. Had a talk with the mayor, convinced him through election was coming up in the spring. We
Did that help at all?
Might have had something to do with it. We managed to convince
Timing is everything.
I know it is. We managed to convince him to give us, he said, I'll give you 6 months to raise support and funds to show that, she said, people have tried before. He didn't expect that we'd have any success. And but he gave us 6 months.
Well, he didn't know the team he was dealing with, didn't he?
He didn't.
He called that a stay of execution.
That's exactly what he called it. It was a stay of execution. And
terminology, though.
Yep. And so we started putting our face out there everywhere, getting as much support as we could, and pancake breakfast, and that went on. Mm-hmm. He unfortunately lost that election. The next mayor said, we're not going to tear it down, but it's going to be part of our parks plan. So it sat for 4 years. Nothing happened to it. Didn't get torn down, but we kept on going. It was. We kept on going. We kept on having pancakes. We started doing programs for the community where we would talk about, one time we had someone speaking about the Underground Railroad activity in this area, another time about the Native American population that was here before we came into the village, other topics of interest to the community. So we kept in the public eye for all those 4 years. Mm-hmm. New administration came in, very historically minded. One of our members, her husband was a trustee. My husband was a trustee. The mayor's wife was our vice president. We had a lot of support from the village at that time.
That here's your cause.
It is, and the village owns the building.
I was going to ask, who owns the real estate at this point?
The village does.
It's not a park district or a fire?
It's all the village. The park district is combined with the village at this time.
Okay, didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay.
So then towards the end of the current administration, we got some additional tax revenue came in, and they said, we want to fund the remainder of the restoration. So that village donation, that was Mayor Pop, was very instrumental in getting us the funding to finish it up. And now Mayor Bogues is the new mayor. She's 100% behind us as well. So we've been through 4 administrations. The village still owns it, but now we have a 10-year lease. We pay a very very
rent.
nominal
Okay, good.
fee.
That's good.
And so now we have from the beginning, we did not want it to be a museum. We did not want it to be static history that would be forgotten after the people that were passionate about it had passed on, like happens so often. So we want it really to be a community space. There's not a lot of community spaces within the village. This is now a community space. We're going to open it up to other civic groups to have their meetings here if they'd like. We're going to have rotating displays. This is our first responders. We've got some toys. We got 6 displays, and those will rotate probably quarterly.
I'm just thinking even the seasonal things you folks can do
We'll
different times
we
of
will.
year,
We'll have
too.
a historic Halloween. Santa Claus is going to visit. We have a sleigh that somebody gave us from 2000 or 1905, I think.
There you go.
We'll be setting up Santa's sleigh out on the veranda.
Not to mention, I'm just throwing it out there, and I'm sure you covered all this already, but even school groups and primary grades.
Absolutely.
Tours.
We're wanting to have a Christmas tree decorating contest in December for the
Excellent.
kids. We're talking about having junior historian program. We have a million. We're starting to partner with Governor State and Landmarks Illinois.
There you go.
They've taken an interest in us, and we're going to be starting to kind of up our game. We have archives to save. We have a collection of newspapers that were here from the 1800s
Wow.
through 1930 that don't exist anywhere else in the world. We need to get those out, scan, digitize, index all of those, but they're in such brittle condition, we're going to need help with that. We want to start a docent program so we can have volunteers from the community and make sure this is open more than just once a month, which is what we're at now.
Right.
We just need volunteers to make that happen. And then we can be open a couple of days a week so that people can use this space and really see what we have. We have archives upstairs to save. We have 1,000,001 projects in the works for going forward.
At least you have a lot of your historical stuff identified and located in one place.
Correct.
Or you know where you can get your hands on it.
Correct. We have been collecting things. This has been a 10-year process, starting in 2011, coming to fruition in 2021, and all that time we've been collecting. And I think now that we have a real repository place to put things, we'll see even more donations.
And a real brick and mortar
We
historical.
just a week ago got a phenomenal, it's a post office sign, and that's been around since at least 1914 because we have a photo and it's the original
No kidding.
post office sign.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
how, in the longtime residence and family heritage in this township, how many people in their private homes may have a piece that's.
I'm sure
Do you
it's
follow
in the
what I'm
hundreds.
saying?
Absolutely.
That great grandma or somebody.
Yep.
And
You
it
never
was
know what you
always
might
in the
stumble
kitchen,
upon.
or it was always hanging on the front porch. Or,
And we will always have a place of honor for those
oh,
things.
yes. And of course, whomever provided it for you or donated or has it temporarily on loan to you for display.
They will certainly be recognized and publicized as where things came from. We'll get the attribution so that everybody knows where it came from.
You know, usually when I interview somebody, I have like 3 or 4 questions ready to shoot. You covered everything. My mind is blank. You know?
I have to say, I think it's.
Yes, go
I
ahead.
think what's really fascinating about what they did is what historical society can say that they made history in the process of preserving history.
Right.
They
I like
made
that.
history by preserving this building, by making sure this didn't get destroyed, and now they're using it as a civic communal space for everybody to learn and grow. And I think it's really unique of historical societies being able to have that origin story.
Okay, I totally agree. Is there anybody else that anything comes to mind you want to say? And
I think it's wonderful.
okay, I just my hat's off to you because the effort, the organization, and then the future plan that goes beyond a few years. That's what's going to give it the longevity. And you all thought that out already. And I thought, wow, that's
Yeah, there were a couple other key people. I just want to mention them.
Yes, please do.
Mary Brockmiller, Margaret Horn, Judy and Jim Pop. My daughter Rachel White, she's our archivist, she's phenomenal.
Okay.
Richard Stunkel,
Yes, I just
Ron
spoke with him.
Lindstrom, Sheila Langenfeld, Nancy Langenfeld, Lisa Dirks, my mother, she passed away 2 years ago, Betty Dirks. Thank you, but she was integral. My husband, David Holston, who's standing over there waving.
He seems to be running away now.
waving his arms. He was our first president. Yeah,
Okay.
he was a safe. He is insane, certified. But
That's what it takes to be on this team, by the way.
and I'm sure I've forgotten people. I really am. But a lot of these folks have been with me from the beginning, in all the 10 years process. So it's certainly not a one-man band, but it's been a very small group of volunteers that have been here, and small but mighty.
Okay.
And dedicated.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I
And
caught that
dedicated.
right away. And passionate.
And as you can tell, I've told the story once or twice.
Yeah, no, I didn't see any note cards at all. Anyhow, this is a treat for AC Variety. This is Dave, who owns AC Variety. He's actually a Monee homeowner now.
Excellent.
And,
Welcome.
So he is passionate about kind of getting involved with all this with his little production company. And that's kind of why we're here today. So
Absolutely wonderful. Come and see me. Call me. Wait, it's like that. Call me.
He's got. It's on digital tape now. So. Okay, thank you so much. Be blessed on your effort and your future. And you have a I want to say a diamond in the rough that's already a diamond.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very
go
much.
for it.
Very
Take
nice.
care. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye now. Okay. You can read those as well. Yes. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I feel like jumping in on this right now because she's doing this so well. Okay, folks, you're watching this. This was supposed to be a rehearsal, but you know what? This is going to be the real thing. And here, as you can see before your eyes, a recliner that's vintage, and we have to give the demonstrator's name is?
Rachel White.
Rachel, okay. I think I talked to your mom downstairs. Yes, okay.
Christie, that's my mom.
Yes.
It's an aunt, another aunt.
Okay, there's a family reunion going on here. I didn't even realize that. Right. Anyhow, as she puts this back together, I'm going to ask Rachel to kind of give me some information on how this got here, perhaps, and
Actually, we have been. Everyone knows my family's interested in family history.
Oh,
so
certainly.
over the
And
years,
yourself,
oh yeah,
from what I'm hearing.
yes.
So.
Over the years, people have started donating, and the more you get, it seems the more that we are donated to. So
Okay.
it's this was actually a church member who is downsizing, and so we actually have a bunch of donations that she gave us. But this
Excellent.
is one of the more priceless ones. This was her, Kathy Campbell was her name, and
Okay.
her great grandparents' chair.
Okay. Wow, I'm very impressed not only at the functionality of it, and it
It's-
still works, the woodwork and the fabric and the tacking is all like really nice.
Really good shape.
Gorgeous, you know.
And I do believe that this came with was
This, an accent
a
table
Bible,
as well?
a Bible stand.
Wow. And some beautiful engraving on the top as well. Yeah, I don't care what furniture store you go into right now in 2021, 2022, you're not going to find craftsmanship like that. And perhaps not even made in this country as well. So,
Well, that's very true.
yeah, so.
Reason for turn.
Yes, go ahead.
Everything, very
Yeah,
much
I was,
so.
well, I could just see on the legs, the work
Sure,
alone is
sure.
just phenomenal.
But
And
you
it-
have to go back a number of years to get things that are put together by hand by so many people. This I
Yes.
am expecting is vintage. The chair is vintage 1876.
Okay.
And I would guess that the Bible stand is very similar in age to the chair. Because I'm assuming they would have bought them right around the same time.
Yeah, and been purposed in the home in
Exactly,
the same way.
exactly.
This is definitely something you would put in your parlor.
Yes, your sitting room.
Your sitting room, all of that, yeah. You know, at this point too, let me get your name because we've been talking and off camera, on camera, and
Thank
your
you.
fans at home want to know.
Oh, I'm sure they do. My name is Sheila Langenfeld. I am the secretary of the Monee Historical Society.
Excellent.
Christie is my sister. We have been working on this project for a number of years, as you have heard earlier this afternoon.
Right.
It's very nice to see the flower finally bud and finally
I
bloom.
was,
And here we are.
Christy gave me the history of what it took to get here today.
That's right.
To say my hat's off to you would be an understatement. Your vision, your relentlessness, to dot the I's, cross the T's, very, very impressive. And there's so much stuff up here, and I'm going to jump subjects, but can we go to that corner? Because that furniture is just
Please.
speaking to me.
Join us over here in the corner.
Yes, okay. Both of you chime in, anything you know about these pieces and how they got here.
Again, gifts from Kathy Campbell and the Herman family.
Okay.
Sitting room parlor pieces. The chairs are matching, obviously. The little bench that goes along is a footstool. Is that another Bible stand, Rachel?
That's an interesting piece. I've seen pieces with legs like that before.
Okay.
I know it opens in some way, but I
don't want to have it tumble in front of everyone
exactly.
either.
As we're filming, right?
Sure.
But and then some of the pieces that's on your exhibit shelves. I'm looking at even. I know I should start from the top, but go ahead. I'll let you talk.
Things like the trays. Trays were used as advertising for any one of a number of feed stores, furniture companies, that type of thing. So a number of people have gifted us complimentary things that would have been received earlier in the 1900s, the 1800s, that type of thing. Ads for, obviously, wagons and whatnot, hand-drawn pieces. This is a picture of the mill that was here in Monee at Eastgate and Margaret Street. Moved a number of years ago. We no longer have that mill with us. We had 2 mills in town, one at Eastgate and Margaret, one over on Mill Street, which is a few blocks further west.
You know, let me ask you at this point, too, as this town started to incorporate or grow into the village it is now, the settlers, were they from any particular part of Europe or any particular part of...
Mostly German settlers.
Okay.
St. Paul's Church, which has been here since right around the 1874s. You'll see a number of references to it throughout the building.
Okay.
And it was an evangelical Reformed church. It's now a United Church of Christ. But they were holding services in German-speaking languages up until the mid-30s and 40s. At one time, they held the church at one of the local business owners' buildings because the church had burned. They couldn't hold services in the church, so they held them in Mr. Freese's store on the main level. And Mr. Freese's store is a place that I lived for a number of years after I was married. I spent a number of years there in the upstairs apartment, the same apartment my grandmother was born in.
Wow.
And so the history travels through and through and through.
Great-great-great-grandmother.
Exactly. So.
And this picture is a painting. I'm not even sure.
Is that an acrylic? I can't tell. I don't have my glasses on.
It's not a pastel, but that building actually still exists on Main Street.
Really?
Mr. Holman building.
Mr. Holman.
Mr. Holman's store out there on Main Street.
The same thing that this is a stamp, Mr. Holman.
Okay.
Yeah, there's another photo downstairs. It was actually used as a post office at one point, and the sign that hung above the door, we actually were just gifted within the last couple of months. So we actually have this sign in the photo that was the post office sign downstairs.
Yeah, is right. Because as soon as you can document stuff with an historical photograph, or especially black and white photographs that are totally archivable, they'll last 100 years plus.
It makes it that much more special.
Oh yes, it gives it the reality to it. I'm looking at those carpenter's tools, those planes and stuff. That is gorgeous stuff. Again, donated for purposes of...
I believe this was from Dennis Erickson.
Okay.
His mother was quite a collector of artifacts, and they had a small museum in their house at one point, and he has been donating many documents and pieces throughout. We're going to be getting labels on these things to show who donated them. We're just kind of starting out.
Yeah. Oh, for your dedication today and your first time out, my jaws dropped. I just like, wow. I know that your mom mentioned, or your sister mentioned downstairs, that this used to be a creamery or dairy, and there was even some cheese sold here.
Cheese and butter.
Is there, if we go back downstairs, is there any artifacts from that era, perhaps bottles or
We will see
crates?
bottles, we will see cream separators or cream separators downstairs. So there are a number of things that would have been involved in the butter and cream making business on the main floor.
Okay. If we can do that, can we take a quick break here? We're going to run downstairs and we're going to get a little more education on this beautiful historical building. Stay with us.
What we have here are a number of things that would have been involved in the butter and cream industry.
Okay.
You see the cream pitcher on the top,
Yes,
and
I
also
sure
a
do.
butter dish on top. But
Beautiful etched glass looking.
Isn't that pretty?
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
But yeah, tell us about how that got here, or is that just to show that,
Another
butter
gift,
and cream,
Butter and cream basically is showcased to take a little further into the fact that you would have a lot of science involved in the whole butter cream industry. I am not sure exactly why they would have used the microscope there, but it may have been to take a look at cultures or whatever.
Good point.
We would need a little bit more. We'd probably need to see that book that's sitting on the shelf right there.
Right, as to why and where.
As to why, where, how, whether you had the best cream, the best milk, what it was exactly that you were producing, to make sure you had the best product possible.
Now, as we go down, where we have like the gallon jug there.
Next shelf down would be an old glass gallon jug. Years ago, they used them with the metal bale around the top.
Okay, so
eventually
that was
evolved
probably
into
pretty
a
heavy.
plastic bale, and I can remember bottles like that being delivered, and the milkman was strong enough to carry 4 in one hand, so he'd bring 8 gallons at a time, and the bobble on the sound of the jar was something that, if you haven't heard it,
Yeah.
it's an interesting sound. You don't hear that anymore. But the next
I
section,
don't know what they sold and who they sold.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but milk wasn't separated that much back then. So, in other words, there wasn't. You didn't buy a separate container, half and half. The cream was on the top of the milk.
cream is on the top,
Okay.
and then you would pour the cream off, and then you would have the fresh milk underneath.
Wow.
The bottle or the jug right next to it.
Yes. Okay. That
is
was
another
big.
right.
Delivery to from the cow to
that way from the dairy, and then when they started pasteurizing, those became more and more outdated.
Yeah.
I know that we visited a dairy farm when we were young, and they had a full series of like 20, 30 cows. So by then they were up to the electronic milkers, the automatic milkers, and all of the milk being collected right there and straight to the jug and straight up and carted off to the...
Yeah, nowadays the only time you see that is in an environment like this or an antique shop, or I have a neighbor that has a geranium growing out of the top of one of those.
There you go. It makes a great
It does,
for
you know,
geranium.
and it's made to last outside forever.
Sure.
Paint it every now and then.
Right.
You know. The butter churner, that it looks like it's made out of ceramic. Is that sort of how that is?
Sure. Most butter churns were made out of ceramic if at all possible, because it would keep your product cooler, keep the milk a little cooler as you churned up and down and as you broke the cream and the milk and actually turned it into a bit of butter to keep it as cool as possible and help form the butter.
Wow. I always wondered that. That's why I asked. So, anyhow, I don't know about you folks at home, but this has been a delightful educational experience. And like we said earlier downstairs, I was almost going to call this a diamond in the rough, but it's already a diamond. This building and what they've done with it, and your family and your sisters and your nieces and everybody else, just a great story, a human story. And you ever get a chance to come out to Monee to check this out, please do. I'm sure they'll have the information online and things. But thank you so much for stepping up today.
Wow. I don't know about you, but I had a fun time learning about all the historical information about Monee at the ribbon cutting for the Monee Historical Society. If you want more information, be sure to go to acvrighty.com. We're going to give you the links of where to go. I want to thank Jimmy LaRuzzo for doing those interviews and helping bring out a lot of that information that you may not have known about. Remember, you're hanging with Clem at the ribbon cutting for Monee Historical Society.